This is the SVT-40, which has been introduced quite a while ago in EFT, but since then it's had its ups and downs. When it first came out, it was extremely powerful, and since then was pushed back to Prapor 3 because too many people were using it. It came out at a time when BSG was rearranging the recoil on various different weapons, and despite only being able to use the iron sight or the Mosin PU scope, it was still very good because of how stable the weapon felt. But after getting moved back to Prapor 3, by the time that you get there, you're probably using something else as well. After this, typically it was the RFB that became the budget rifle of choice because you could get this on Skier level 2 very cheaply through the barter. However, I think with this wipe and the changes to the flea market, I think the SVT might have regained the crown as the budget DMR. And let me explain why. Originally, there was a time when you couldn't buy the SVT on the fleet at all, but as of this wipe, they've rearranged the levels at which you can buy almost every item, and the SVT can be bought at flea market level 15. If you compare this to the RFB, for example, which has the CPU fans into gas analyzers barter and then gas analyzers, 2 of them, into the RFB, CPU fans themselves can only be bought at level 20, and gas analyzers at level 20 as well. Now, admittedly, you can buy the RFB on the flea market as well as the SVT, but ammo is super restrictive in game now, and you're much more likely to find 7.62 by 54R than you are to find 7.62 NATO, with BCP FMJ, which is really the first usable ammo, I would say, over on Jaeger 3, as opposed to something like FMJ over on Prapor 2. But we'll look at that in a little moment. So as you can see, they're about 62,000 from Prapor, but you can get others here. It's a bit thin at the moment because this is the morning time in EU, so these will appear a bit later on when people are playing in prime time, but as you can see, they are usually pretty cheap. They're not that expensive at all to build. Now, there's a few different parts that the SVT has got on it in this wipe, which I think make it extra good as well. To start with, we have the SVT-40 SVT Stealth stock. This comes on Jaeger 2, so it's really not that hard to get to. And when you put this on, you get quite a lot of recoil reduction actually, which for a semi-auto gun does kind of matter, especially when we're up in the hundreds, and a little bit more ergonomics. We then have the main reason why the SVT is actually good now. So as you can see previously, you could only put on this thing, which is the Tokarev PU mount. So you either had to run the irons that are on the weapon already, or this PU mount with the PU 3.5 times in it. But this is really not very good. Now, as of this wipe, they've added this and this. So there's 2 mounts here, the SVT-40 Adley Precision Steel Scope mount and the Smithless Scope mount. There's not much difference between the two. This one is very slightly lighter and has a slightly better ergonomics profile, although this one is a little bit more expensive, but I usually choose it because it sits slightly lower. As you can see, this one is a little higher, and that one is a little lower. I usually try to go for as low as I can just to minimize height over bore. Now, the benefit of this is that obviously you can use basically any scope in the game that you want, which is insanely good. So as a starting point, you could either just put a red dot on it, even something like the new SRO, if you want to use this as a sort of a CQB kind of budget type of gun. Alternatively, you could put on all the regular stuff if you use one of the ring mount optics. So the Nightfalls, you could put inside all of the usual stuff here, all the way up to the Voodoo, which is pretty insane. And for a gun that's going to cost you about 60 to 80k on the flea market, I honestly think this is a banging deal. Obviously ammo dependent. Now, there is one other upgrade as well, which is this one, which is the AVT-40 magazine. This itself can be bought on the flea market and is a little bit of an upgrade to the regular 10-rounder. This is probably the biggest downside of the gun overall, but this can only be bought at level 25. So you can be locked out of this for quite a while because this is a Prapor level 4 attachment. So there's not really anything else that you can do with this gun, which makes it very simple to build and use. It reminds me a little bit of the SKS or something, except chambered in 7.62 by 54R, which is obviously an incredibly damaging round. The only other thing you might consider doing is giving yourself some point fire bonus. Now, there's not really an obvious way of doing it on this weapon. Normally, you'd stick something around the handguard, or there's like a clamp that goes around the muzzle, something like that. But you can do it. We know from the old RFB tech, not that that's necessary anymore, but the old RFB tech allows you to do this with certain attachments. So, for example, you've got this goofy looking thing, the Hydra. This is one way of doing it. So you can put this on front, and then you can have like a little red dot, something like that. Put something really high up. This is height over bore city, but it does allow you to do something, at least, really, of any kind. You can put something with an IR laser on it, and that does allow you to use point fire. Matters a lot less for semi-auto. Something that's probably a little bit more sensible is using something like one of these, the Reknagel Iratak 30mm ring mounts, and then you can put on like the wrapped AR, and this has a infrared mode as well. You can see on this, it's got visible, IR, as well as an infrared illuminator, and this will give you the point fire bonus as well. And then you can put in something like the Tag 30. Now, I know you won't be able to get access to these super early on, because most of these scopes are level 25 or much higher, like the Tag 30 and the Voodoo and those kind of things. In which case, it's going to be a little tricky and a bit of a struggle to actually get anything on here that allows you to do that. But just bear in mind, if you do want to at some point, and you do have one of these lying around, like you get Tag 30s quite often on scavs, then maybe you could combine it with something of this kind. Okay, so next let's have a look at the ammo that we have available to us, and we can see everything that is available to us on the traders. Now, this did actually get a bit of a nerf in general. Just ammo in general has had a nerf compared to previous wipe, because you can no longer buy ammo boxes anymore. This was possible at the beginning, but this has gone away now, so unfortunately you can only get these. Ammo boxes are only purchasable from the traders directly. So you do have HP BT from Jaeger 1, which is 26 pen and 102 damage. 26 pen is just not really that useful. With a gun like this, you really want to make sure that if you do hit, it does actually matter. And this is going to bounce off class 3 and 4 helmets, so we don't want to do that. SPBT is the next one with 31 pen. This is okay for class 3, but not good for class 4. With 92 damage, still pretty high though. Move on to the next one, which is FMJ. Now this is on Prapor level 2. This is the first round that I would consider usable. And interestingly, this is probably the highest pen round that you can get at level 2 traders. With 36 penetration and 84 damage. This puts it in pretty much the same class as something like BCP FMJ or the 7.62 NATO weapons, which is really quite good. You've got a 50-50 chance of going through class 4 because of the insane armor damage of these rounds. You'll probably go through on the second shot. And if you just so happen to touch any individual limb, it's going to black it, and it's got enough pen to go through an arm and into the thorax and do sort of collateral damage, stuff like that, which is really quite powerful. So I would say this is probably the entry level. As I said, this is a bit like BCP FMJ, but BCP FMJ is up on Jaeger 3, so it's a lot further than Prapor 2 for most players. After this, the next one, which is probably the one that you are going to be using most of the time, is T46M, because you can actually find this on scavs. If you kill sniper scavs, you will find this. You can find boxes of this around the map, so you may have some of this anyway. You can top load this over the top of FMJ. And this has 41 penetration, so this is a clean shot through class 4, and with 82 damage, there's no problem with damage thresholds or anything like that going through class 4 helmets. Only issue with this guy is that this is a tracer. This is what the T is for, which means that if you're using this in a long range configuration with some kind of scope, then people are going to be able to see where you're shooting from much more easily. There is no suppressor for this gun, so maybe you don't care about that. That might not really be a problem, but it's just one consideration that you might want to think about. The final round that you can buy from the traders directly without using boxes. There are some that you can use boxes for, which I'll show you in a sec. But this is 7.62 by 54 PS. This requires you to complete Punisher Part 6, at which point you're probably going to be quite sick of the caliber and probably won't want to use the SVT. But it's there if you want to. Now, obviously, there are a few others as well. LPS, you can make this at Workbench level 2. You can't buy it from anywhere, but you can make it Workbench level 2, and you can find it in Raid as well. And then the best bullet, which is another tracer, which is BT. This one with 78 damage and 55 pen is insanely good. You can build this in the Workbench level 3 after completing the Tarkov Shooter Part 7. Alternatively, there is a way to buy this from Ref level 4 as well. You can get this as a box, which I'll show you now in here, for 22 GP coins. So it's 1 GP coin per bullet, which is probably not really worth it, but it's there if you want. So the benefit of this caliber really is not the fact that you can buy the ammo from the traders. You can buy passable ammo from level 2 Prapor and up, but you can just use this to stack anything that you find in Raid. Now, 7.62 54R is nowhere near as plentiful as 5.45, and it's about as plentiful as good 7.62 by 39. But it means you'll be finding decent bullets for this a lot more than you will for something like the RFB using 7.62 NATO. You might actually find that you get SNB and BS in Raid, which are only found in Raid and are really, really good, technically better than BT. And you can technically use these in the SVT as well, just to negate people's armor, because there's probably a lot of people right now using class 5 and 6 armor, especially after the Christmas tree has been added to the game. The one in particular that I am talking about for this is the craft for the Stitch Trophy, which is this guy in here, and it only costs 8 baubles of the white variety, which are the most common version. And this gives you 2 Class 6 plates, the Kiteco SC6, which are also some of the best plates in the game because they're ultra high weight molecular polyweight ethylene, which is easy to repair, and they're only 2.4 kilograms per plate. So there's a lot of people running this kind of stuff at the moment, and if you're using high-end 7.62 by 54R, this can easily level the playing field. So I did want to get a few more clips of me using the SVT, but unfortunately I've been using bolt actions for what feels like an entire month, and still seems like I'm going to need to use them for another couple of weeks. So I did have a little dabble about, so I've got a short clip here to show you in action, but not quite as much as I usually would. So yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the strongest part about Arena in some sense, is the storage containers, because like the thick cases are expensive to get, right? But like 3 Legos, so you can slowly accumulate a lot of thick cases using Arena now. They changed. It used to be 10 Lego medals, which is a lot. You know, you used to get basically at least 1 per week. Occasionally you get a second one, very occasionally, for a daily. But you could only really get them there. Oh! SVT! My boy! We'll go fetch him in a sec. I want to go and plant this thing first. Oh, you kill this guy. The circle of life, eh? Ah, the BTR. I think it's in here somewhere, isn't it? Was it this one or was it a different one? Oh, it's the other house. Oh. Oh, not Kepka. You know what, I should really... Oh, God. No! Where is this guy? Am I going to have to take him out? Oh, he's stopped. Good. I should really take the BTR. I've been looking for the BTR for ages. I know that there's a guy to loot there, but maybe we can come back later. I don't know. Maybe. I want to go to... Which one's it called? Train depot? I think it's train depot. There's someone in there with you? That's pretty funny. Why isn't it going anywhere? I don't really know what the best game plan is here. It says I can exit the BTR. I don't know. Feels like we're moving, but I don't think we actually are. And I've got, like, super packet loss up in the corner. It says I can still leave. Am I just going to have to press leave and then try not to die or something? Something's messed up. I'm just going to put these PKs on and then try to leave the BTR. I don't know what the deal is. I have a feeling this is going to end badly no matter what I do. Oh no. That's super bad. It's like, put us out of bounds. I think he got stuck on the edge of the map somewhere. That is unfortunate.